Folks, what if we told you that Kathleen Kennedy not only destroyed Star Wars, but she also absolutely dismissed any chance of Disney Plus ever catching up with Netflix? You might think we're out of our minds. Surely that's too much. But we're here to tell you the sky is falling on the House of Mouse. The Acolyte is just the last punch in the gut. And we're going to show you what is happening as Disney Plus indeed falls out of the top 5 streaming platforms online. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. We are so happy to have you here with us. It is a joy as ever. And folks, as we get ready to start into this video, I just want to say a very sincere thank you to so many out there. We launched Vacation Radio on YouTube at Vacation Radio yesterday at 7 p.m. More than 600 subscribers in less than 12 hours, and so many of you listening and enjoying. It means the world to us. We're happy to give it to you for free, and thank you for listening. Now, let's dive into this. And folks, listen up. The Disney stock not doing well, and we're going to tell you how this is connected, I think, to the Acolyte and to everything else. Look at this. We're watching right now as Disney is hovering at 100. It could close for the weekend under 100. No financial advice given here. It started out under 100, and it's making Nelson Peltz look like quite the genius in getting out earlier when he did. The media was all laughing at Peltz and saying, well, he's given up. He's out. Bob Iger has won. No. Winning is not losing. Winning is not losing. And on that note, folks, yes, Disney Plus has dropped out of the top 5 streamers. Take a look at this out of the Los Angeles Times, and thank you to Mac for sending this our way, a tremendous source. It says, as streaming becomes more expensive, Tubi cashes in on the value of free. That is not the headline that I would have gone with, folks. Not in the least. Let me show you what's hidden in this thing. Are you ready? In the era of streamflation, it's a good time to be Tubi. Subscription prices for Netflix, Disney Plus, Max, and Peacock have crept up over the last year, and more consumers are turning to the free ad-supported video-on-demand service owned by Fox Corp. Nielsen data showed that May was Tubi's most watched month ever, with an average audience of 1 million viewers, up 46% from a year ago. Here is the headline. The streamer edged out Disney Plus, which averaged 969,000 viewers. The rest of it doesn't matter. Tubi, which cost Fox Corp $400 million, edged out Disney Plus in viewership in the month of May. It finally happened, folks. And how did it happen? This way. When Disney Plus launched, Disney Plus had The Mandalorian. And despite the sequel trilogy, it was tremendously successful. Folks were tuning in. They believed in the Jon Favreau vision. And at the time, many believed that Dave Filoni could deliver. And they were exceedingly happy when a heroic Luke showed up at the end of season 2. And then Kathleen Kennedy stepped in yet again and destroyed everything. Folks, I'm here to tell you that firing Gina Carano in the way that it was done, and I know they'll claim she was not fired. That's the lawsuit, right? The way that that was handled was what throttled Disney Plus. And here we have the Kathleen Kennedy version. We have their version of strong women. Nerdrotic says this is Disney Star Wars, bwahaha, and shows the image of the witches. Which, by the way, is it just me or are there too many witches now in Star Wars? When did we stop paying attention to Jedi and Sith and start going just straight up into witches? And Elon Musk is laughing, the richest man in the world, laughing at Star Wars, and the entire world is laughing at Star Wars. The entire world is laughing at Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy. This isn't apathy. This isn't hate. That would be great for Star Wars to be hated. This is mockery. This is people falling down, laughing out loud at them. And that's not a great place to be. Take a look at this from Valliant Renegade. As predicted, congrats Disney, you did it. Star Wars hashtag the Acolyte. 18% audience score, folks. No telling where that's going to go. But I have noticed that the shills have given up on the message, the Last Jedi strategy of saying, oh no, this is all this is a review bomb. This is an attack on Rotten Tomatoes. 10,000 plus ratings. This is real. This is legit. And they're recognizing it and they're switching their opinions quickly. They're switching their opinions very quickly. But folks, remember, this is not just about Star Wars. This is not just about Leslie Headland, the former, by the way, personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. Great pick, Disney. This is not about just that. This has this Kathleen Kennedy vision for Star Wars, where she thinks that the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein is a better representation for the franchise than Gina Carano. That's the mainstream to Kathleen Kennedy is the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. Who you have to cast away is everyone who would identify with Gina Carano. That strategy has led to Disney no longer having any chance of ever catching up with Netflix. That is the cost. Investors should be livid. Investors should be absolutely angry about this. By the way, dancing now at $100.02. We'll see where it lands, folks, but things are not going well for Disney. They better hope and pray that Inside Out 2 is here to save the day, because let me tell you, things actually are worse than what I've just described. You know why? I'm here to tell you Gina Carano's lawsuit is indeed going to discovery. The judge has allowed it to go into discovery. I want to bring on Jonas J. Campbell to give us his analysis of where we are with all of this. Jonas, welcome aboard. What do you make of where we are with Star Wars and with the Disney company, specifically with Disney now losing out of the top 5 spots for streaming? That means that it's now YouTube, it's now Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, which Disney is destroying. They'll get that out of the top 5 soon enough, surely. And now Tubi. No Disney Plus in the top 5. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about Star Wars, it's almost as if the fans have been saying for a very long time, you guys, we don't count this as Star Wars. This is not as fun as Star Wars. Can you give us something that resembles Star Wars that you don't just slap the name on it? And it's the same thing with Disney Plus right now. They're going to slap the Disney name on Hulu and pretend like that's successful. It's almost like people just want some normal television. I think this is a point at which Disney is just forgotten their duty to actually make entertaining product. I don't think that Tubi would be anywhere it is in market share if Disney was actually successful in the things that they were making in any level.
Is Kathleen Kennedy, though, is she the fulcrum of this, Jonas? Is she where this deviated? Because at one time, back when they launched Disney Plus, they really and truly thought that they would take on Netflix. That was the entire reason for doing this. Disney never wanted to be out of the top 5. They wanted to be top 2, and they really wanted to win. When Kathleen Kennedy did what she did with The Mandalorian and with Gina Carano, did that end any chance? Is Kathleen Kennedy to blame for this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Putting it back on Gina Carano and the firing of Gina Carano, that is when they were at $200 a share. And I think between that and also some of the other things that Disney did politically, I think if the entertainment value had still been there while Disney decided to get into culture war issues in such a pronounced way, I think people might have forgiven them, because with the bread and the circuses model going there, you still have to have the circuses. When people don't have the bread, they're more focused on whether or not the circus is actually entertaining. But if the whole circus is about how the people who are watching the circus are actually evil, then people tend to go, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to show up to your show about space wizards? And instead of space wizards, it's now, lesbian space witches.
Well, we're going to talk about this very soon, folks, about the direction of Star Wars and whether or not this is the right way to go. Clearly it's not, but there's an obsession now with the occult in Star Wars. I mean, it is just flat out obsessed with it. This is nonstop, and it's not in the cutesy, fun kind of way of Sabrina or Bewitched. It's not in the fanciful way of, Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter. This is some straight up weirdo, bizarro world kind of stuff where they're writhing, and it's the patriarchy versus the matriarchy, and it's some strangeness. But Jonas, I want to bring on a fantastic panel to talk about more of this. This is just amazing to me, and I think this is the day when investors surely are looking at what's happening with Star Wars, actually, Giannis by Adventure, actually, when people are saying, hey, the richest man in the world is now mocking this franchise, and so are we, folks, so are we. That's where we are. Let's bring on the panel right now. All right, folks, here is the breaking news. Tom, can't wait to get your thoughts on this, and Erika is going to rejoin us in just a moment. She's having a bit of technical difficulty.
Yeah,
we'll be back with her.
I just saw this myself.
That's right.
Oh,
Disney
Gina.
Disney tried to get Gina Carano's Mandalorian lawsuit quickly dismissed. The judge said not so fast, folks. Guess what? The lawsuit is moving forward. We're going to scroll down because Disney is going to get us for that ad. This article, you can go read it if you want to, folks. I'll just tell you, U.S. District Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett is sending this sucker to discovery. So if you're frustrated with the Acolyte, if you're frustrated with the way that Gina Carano was treated, if you don't like that Leslie Headland is alleged to have financially aided the attempts to destroy Gina, if all of that makes you angry and you don't like it, well, apparently we're going to get some emails soon. I don't think they're going to settle. They could. That's definitely what Disney would probably like at this point. I'm not saying that for sure, folks. That's my speculation. But Gina and Elon, they're going to Discovery against Disney. Did you ever think you would see it? Lucasfilm is facing Discovery. We may get to see what's behind the desk of Kathleen Kennedy besides stale, spoiled coffee. Tom, give us your take. We've been watching this a while.
I mean, I'm not surprised that the judge didn't throw it out, because unless they were in a situation where this judge was extremely biased, I mean, and I think that would raise so many red flags, because I mean, this is a clear-cut case, in my opinion. I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. Obviously, I don't think any of us on the panel are, but I know Prost plays one on TV sometimes. But that
we're going to
being
get
said,
Ron Coleman back on the channel. We're having
right? No
Ron.
kidding. I mean, like, yes, I would love to get an actual lawyer's perspective on this, but from the people that I've talked to, it sounded like she had a pretty darn good case, and it's Disney's fault. You know, what kind of reminds me of the whole Reedy Creek situation, because there's certain moves that they had made in this situation where they could have washed their hands of her and not had to worry about this whole thing. It's just the way it was handled and things that were said publicly that I think are really going to put them in a precarious place. Now, what I think is going to happen here, the next move, I think Disney's going to try and settle.
Well,
yeah, Disney's going to try and settle.
But Gina, but Tom,
she's
Gina
already expressed that she's not going to settle.
Right, and you think Elon, who's funding it, wants to settle? What are they going to offer him? Money?
Exactly.
How did that go last time, Bob?
That's
how
the
did that
beauty
go?
of this, because neither one of them really needs the money, right? Like, that's not what this is about. You know, like as the Joker says, it's not about the money. It's about the principle. It's about sending a message, right? So, yeah, like at this point, I think that this is good news for anybody who's rooting for Gina, and they're going to try and get out of this. I know they're going to try and offer her some huge payday or whatever they offer, and she's just going to be like, nope, we're going to go to court. So that's going to
go fund yourself, Bob.
Exactly.
All right, let's welcome Erika. Well, we'll give her a moment. She's still working on some technical issues. Ron, what's your thoughts on Gina Carano making the hurdle? She's going to be going to Discovery. And that means all this gets out in the public.
I'm so happy for her. She needs this. Honestly, I have been done with Star Wars since she's been out, because what they did.
Oh, come on. You love Star Wars turning into Bewitched.
Yeah, right. I haven't watched a single, not even a scrap of the Acolyte. I just won't do it. I don't have to for my channel, thank goodness. I can watch you guys, and you guys.
Yeah. Rub it in, Ron. Rub it in, Ron.
Sorry, you go do your job. I'll be out there having to ride broken down Tiana's buckle butt adventure.
Yeah, you're stuck in 95-degree weather in the salt mines.
But I think I'm burnt. Did I burn today? Yeah, stuck in the salt mines. By the way, I noticed something about the salt mines today. They actually paid incredible attention to the salt mines. I didn't notice it before, but yeah, they really doubled down on salt mine. So it's you can talk about how bad that is.
I look forward to hearing more about it. We may have to do a video based on whatever you've discovered. I want to bring Erika back onto the panel, though. Erika, what do you make of this breaking news that Gina Carano is going to Discovery now? The lawsuit is going to proceed ahead. Disney either will have to find some way to settle, or all the Lucasfilm dirt is going to be exposed and put out into the public. What do you make of it, Erika?
I am all good for dirt. Can y'all hear me, right?
Yes, we hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for the dirt. I'm all for sweet humble pie, sweet justice. So I hope it all gets exposed. I hope everything that's going on in the darkness is just brought into the light and just exposes that and then some.
Erika, what do you think about it? Have you been paying attention to the Acolyte at all? You're not watching it, but have you been paying attention?
Well, Yeah, I've been watching every live stream that comes my way. I've been up to like 4 a.m. just
What's your thought? Because I know that you love spooky stuff, and you love. I see you've got the grim gritting ghost behind you. I think all that's fantastic. But when it comes to Star Wars, yeah, Jack Skellington. What do you think about Star Wars moving into that arena with Leslie Headland, as opposed to where it was going with the actual strong woman Gina Carano before everything was blown up? Do you think this is the way Star Wars should be going?
Absolutely not. I mean, that's just stupid and ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is just, I am not what you call a massive, huge follower of Star Wars. I know just enough about Star Wars to keep me in like the old school stuff, like the first 3 movies, you know, that my dad would bring home growing up. But this thing with the occulticism being mixed in, for one, that hits a huge sore spot for me. That's not funny. It's nothing to mess with. And it's very unsettling to my stomach because I have an immediate family member who is very much into that, and that there's just certain things I can't stomach anymore. And there's a fine line between, you know, liking spooky stuff and just for the sheer entertainment of it, you know, like Haunted Mansion and the characters and Jack Skellington, like those are just fun, you know, pretend play, and there's nothing serious about it. But when you're getting into like spells and hexes, and when you're really getting into the nitty gritty of occulticism, that's another thing.
Right, and we saw the witches all together writhing together and doing that's all. You know, it got a little. It got a little weird. I have to say that
it got a little too real, was what it was. I couldn't even get through the first. I had to muscle my way through the first episode of Sabrina on Netflix.
Right,
they were so scaringly accurate that I had to force myself to make it to the very end of the first episode, and I couldn't go anymore. I couldn't do it because I was just like, they did their research a little too well, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just sad to see Star Wars, of all things, Star Wars. Like I thought it was supposed to be this sci-fi galactic outer space type story, and what does, I don't know, Wiccan have to do with any of it? It's so far out of, it just has nothing to do with any of it.
The dark side, you know, was
pulled something random out of a hat and decided, oh yeah, let's just go and run with this, you know, because
the dark side and the Sith, you know, that's a very interesting thing. Darth Vader and all of the baddies that were in Star Wars, that was very interesting. But they seem to be obsessed not only with the witches and you know, back in the novels, I know there were the Night Sisters and Dathomir and all that. Folks, I got that, but it was always on the periphery. It was always kind of minor because Star Wars is lightsabers, it's spaceships, it's AT-ATs, it's Wookiees, you know, it's all of this stuff. And when you bring in witches and make that into this giant focus, you know, it doesn't belong as the focus. And lately, that's been everything to Star Wars. That's been everything under Dave Filoni. We talked about this, by the way, maybe close to a year ago, and we took super incited rage aimed at us because we were willing to talk about Dave Filoni and his wife, who is a Star Wars writer, and her beliefs in this stuff. And so we took a lot of heat, but folks, I think now you can see, and I just want to say, by the way, the Acolyte getting slammed at the same time that Gina Carano is demanding information now and going forward with the lawsuit. But I want to take a look at how the Acolyte is being received, because folks, you're going to notice that there's a major switcheroo that is underway. And we're going to talk about this more coming up. But there's a major switcheroo, and I've been watching, by the way, as media types and influencers and YouTubers and vloggers and bloggers, they have been starting to course correct because they realize that the public is against them. They've been running polls now on their X accounts, trying to figure out what their viewers and followers believe. And take a look at this out of Forbes. Forbes is seeing the light now. This, as they all figure out that blaming it on Russian AI bots is not going to be enough. Go ahead, Tom.
I compared this kind of to the whole Velma thing, right? Like, because Velma was a show that was even too woke for the woke. Like they're even kind of like, okay, now you've gone just too far. And I think it's kind of, we're seeing this similar thing here with a lot of the Star Wars shills, is like they even know that they can't even say this is good.
Well, what
right?
they would.
And it's like the Rings of Power is in a way too. Yeah, exactly. Like, and Andre, I think said this recently in a video, and he's pointed it out before too. And that, like a lot of these critics hedged their bets before Rings of Power. Like if you look at the early reviews compared to the later reviews actually tell the truth, right? I think at this point, they can't even make excuses for this crap anymore. I mean, when you're getting into religious stuff, especially, like, look, for some reason, I've noticed this too, like this huge push to bring Wiccan to the norm or something like that. And again, if you're somebody who can make that work in your life, for you, that's cool. But that's the way I feel about any religion, whether it's Scientology, Christianity, whatever. But, hearing what Erika's saying and seeing this new push, especially from somebody like Disney, it's almost like, okay, are you really trying to give the Bible thumpers fuel here, or what are you doing? Because you're doing, it's kind of like what we've seen with the woke stuff, not to get too deep into the trenches here, but like, for years and years and years, I was, more of a leftist person until I watched the left leave me, because a lot of the things that they would say that they weren't doing, or excuses they would come up with, it would be turned around like, oh no, you are literally using it for that reason. And now you can't even hide behind this shield of, well, it's just for this, it's just for that anymore. And it's kind of the same thing here. I know I'm dancing around terminology here, but let's just say certain kind of controlling of impregnation of certain things being used for such control, let's say, without getting too deep in the trenches. Yeah, anyway.
I was looking for turkey basters on the ground when they were all
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they were all wiped out. They were laying down there.
Yeah, this whole thing has just gotten to the point where, like, why are we normalizing this? Like, why are we acting like this is something that should be in a family show, let alone, look, if I seek out something that is actually called something that, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch or something like that, I can understand if they're going to draw from that. But even that, I'm going to question why you're actually bringing real Wiccan stuff into this stuff. Like,
Tom, what we're going to find out, the witches are the matriarchy, the Jedi are the patriarchy, the Jedi are the oppressors, the witches are the oppressed, the Jedi steal your children. They say they don't, but they stabby them and get their blood and decide whether or not they should be Jedi. And then, by the way, if the Jedi never showed up in this show, everybody lives. The Jedi have to be the villains. The Jedi show up and everything blows up. The Jedi are the villains in the show. And that's what we're going to find out. It doesn't matter if they adjust.
And this is the same company that doesn't want voodoo in their park?
Oh, well played.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Let's read this article,
contradictions.
Let's read this article. I want folks to see how the mainstream is starting to figure out that they're being left out. And I wish they wouldn't, folks. I really do. The drive-bys, the journalists, I wish that they would leave this alone and do what they do, because I had an open runway to tell the truth. So now they're going to messy everything up, and that's okay. We'll parse it out. This is by Eric Kane, who, by the way, we like Eric. The Acolyte Episode 3 review, one of the most disappointifying Star Wars episodes ever made. Folks, get ready. The mainstream has went to scathing mode. The third episode of the Disney's Acolyte is an embarrassment to the entire franchise, though the same could be said for so much Star Wars these days outside of Andor and the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. Yes. Good on you, Eric. You recognize that the season with Lizzo did not have the gravitas it needed somehow. Here's one exchange between 2 characters in the latest episode. Bad twin. The Jedi are bad. Good twin, named after a government agency. The Jedi are good. Later, the same 2 characters, the good twin and bad twin of the story, say to one another, "What have you done? What have you done? What have you done?" I want to ask Disney the same question.
Didn't we see the same thing kind of play out, though, in the prequels already? And this is kind of where, look, I haven't watched the show, full disclosure, but I've seen clips.
I thought you sounded healthy. Yeah, you sound healthier than me. I knew something.
Yeah, absolutely. I avoided it as much as possible. The only thing I've had to deal with is the clips online and when I had to edit Andre's videos and stuff like that. So I've seen enough of it to kind of get the gist of it. But, like, isn't that kind of what the whole prequels are about in a way, is that Anakin's kind of stuck between the dogma of the Jedi and the absolution of the Sith? Like, that's kind of like how this whole thing, and this is where I always get into arguments with people who are like, well, we should have gray Jedi. It's like, no, they already answered that question. You can't have a gray Jedi. They turned to the Sith. That's what Dooku was. If you actually pay attention to the story, he tried to say that, and this is where, you know, a lot of people were kind of, if you actually pay attention to things, where they were kind of like leery about Qui-Gon Jinn, is because he was bringing in all these hippy-dippy ideas along with Dooku into the Jedi Order, right? Like, that's the whole point. Like, so they realized that this guy can't be part of us anymore. He went off, did his own thing, and then low-key became a Sith in the background, right? Duh. Why? Because you can't, there is no middle ground, either one or the other. You're either good or you're bad. You're light or you're dark. You know, and Yoda explained that stuff before too. There's not that much of a difference between the two, except for one chooses the quicker path and does it for greed, right? Like, that's basically the big difference between the two. And that's where you have that kind of dynamic between the two, where they do have a lot of similar thoughts and beliefs. But the big difference is the Sith use the power for themselves and the Jedi try to use their power to help others. That's the difference. Anyway,
right, well,
that's my feeling about it.
Well, that, and by the way, George is basing that off of the ancient story of Cain and Abel, right? So
yin and yang, all that stuff,
sacrifice versus contemptment. That's the whole story there. The Sith are contemptful. They see what others have and they want it. They buy into their passions. The Jedi are attempting to delay gratification and seek the greater good. That's played out in archetypal stories all throughout history. But take a look at this. This is out of Forbes, talking about what this writer, Eric Kane, sees from all this. And he's looking at the media as well here. And I find this fascinating. We're getting into a real media meta situation where the media is starting to mock each other. Like, they're starting to come untwined. It says, IGN says this episode offers up, quote, a lot of tantalizing new layers to how we perceive both the Jedi and the Force. And I would like to know if we use different versions of the word tantalizing. So this, guys, I never thought I'd see the day where Forbes is attacking IGN in an article. Forbes, that is a financial bastion of news media, is attacking IGN. And I love it all the more. It says, I'm confused about the entire motivation of Bad Twin, who wants revenge on the Jedi, but is actually the one responsible, apparently, for offing everybody. If, that is, anyone is actually dead, even if she didn't burn everyone to death, she certainly started a fire that she certainly must believe killed Good Twin at the very least. The Jedi in Episode 2 offed himself. If there's not more to the story, this will make absolutely no sense whatsoever. The witch chant was one of the lamest chants in the history of all chants. I wanted to giggle maniacally listening to it. I also wanted to cry. The Night Sisters are better witches. This show had a $180 million budget. Can't figure out where it went. Rewatching The Escape with Good Twin and Bad Twin, the room with the pile of bodies is clearly not from a fire. It goes on and on. I mean, this is beautiful stuff. Ron, let me go to you, though. What do you think about the media now attacking each other? Forbes is mocking IGN.
Was it live by the sword, die by the sword? Yeah, it's
or lightsaber in this case.
Or lightsaber in this case.
Lightsabers don't hurt anybody, guys. You're forgetting.
Stab it in the uterus, you're fine.
That's right. I'm sorry. It's only pocket knives that you stab.
Butter knives to the boob. You die in Star Wars. Lightsabers through the spleen, not a problem. You'll be
perfectly
fine.
Fine the next day.
Yeah, brush it off. Brush it off.
God,
it's just a flesh wound.
I think we're in the Twilight.
Even Darth Maul wasn't gay enough to survive that. No, I'm just kidding.
We need something new. We need some. I didn't have a chance to watch it before at the movie theater, but I started watching because it's on Netflix, Godzilla -1. And I mean, the first scene, I'm not a Godzilla fan at all, by the way. I'm not. I usually hate monster movies, and I was so surprised just how the first scene drew me into this man's story. I'm very curious as to where it's going to go. I started watching it when I was going to sleep last night, but I'm going to finish it out tonight. And just how captivating that was on a human personal level. And I think it's overdubbed or whatever. I mean, it's not even an English movie. It's not an American movie, but all I've seen from the Acolyte, I haven't watched an episode, but I've seen those clips like Thomas talked about, and Trinity, Carrie Ann Moss, I think might be her name.
Yes, Trinity.
Whatever character she plays, even
Trinity. She plays Trinity. Even Leslie Headland said she's playing Trinity.
She even said that. Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, she's not playing Trinity as exciting as Trinity was, because I'm like watching this.
Well, you're not allowed to have a Keanu in the show. That would be a dude. and
Let's
that's
be
not allowed.
real here.
It's so boring.
Well, let's be real here. How would you like to be, like, you're known for like basically one role your entire life, and you've been trying to get other roles, doing other things, all these other times. Star Wars comes and knocking on your door. They're like, we want to have you in the show. You're like, great, finally something to get me out of the Matrix mold. But we want you to play Trinity
for 3 minutes, and then you die.
This is like knocking on friggin' Jaleel White's door and going, hey, we want you to be in the show, but you're basically going to be Urkel again.
Wait a minute, can I do something else? Yeah, you can be Sonic for 5 minutes.
No,
She was great in Jessica Jones on Netflix. I mean, so I love that.
That's what I mean. She can act, she can do other things, but she's been pigeonholed here again, and that's what I'm saying. You get
so
your next
unfair.
big break. Yeah, it's kind of unfair. Yeah,
I hope she showed up for the day, got paid a few $1 million, and then trucked out of there.
So let me toss this other idea I've got playing around in my head, and then we're gonna go to super chats. But I want to toss this to the entire panel. Anybody who wants it, take it. But I've been thinking about the Last Jedi strategy. They can't use it anymore. So back when the Last Jedi came out, they went with the strategy of trying to absolutely put up these walls, these barriers that could not be knocked down. So the Rotten Tomatoes scores, that was all Russian disinformation, because the Russians are deeply interested in Star Wars, apparently all the way back to Ronald Reagan. And folks, if you get that reference, congratulations, you're smart. But not only that, but then we went to the stage of saying, yeah, well, the Empire Strikes Back didn't make as much money as A New Hope, so this is just the normal pattern, which that was always, by the way, folks, a completely bogus narrative that we could take apart, but it would take 5 minutes. But they built all these walls to block us from having any conversation. And all of these channels came out of The Last Jedi, right? All of these YouTube channels, even news websites came out of that. These truth tellers who started poking holes in the corporate narrative, they started to try that with this, and they've already given up. And I think it's because there are so many voices now empowered against them, and they don't have the institutional power to shut them down anymore. Panel, what am I right or am I wrong? Am I being optimistic when I shouldn't be?
I think YouTube actually has a lot of power. I mean, look at me. I came onto this thing last year just from watching Valiant, watching you, watching Midnight's Edge, and excited that there is a voice for the people, the regular audience who doesn't necessarily normally have a voice. It was for so many years the only voice you heard about anything was just critics, and you knew that was skewed to however much they paid the critics. And now we have a whole open forum. It's actually what Elon Musk has talked about in X: free speech as it should be, because everything has the ability to become better out of it. They haven't used that yet. Disney's clearly not listening to their audience, but if they would, they might actually be able to give us some stuff that we like, that we enjoy.
Disney of 20 years ago would recalibrate instantly. Remember they had John Carter?
Yeah.
It was a failure, but it was nothing compared to what they went through last year. But they didn't learn anything from last year. With John Carter, it was an instant, hey, throw everything that we just did with this away. We're changing everything. Erika, what brought you into recognizing? What was it? Was it Last Jedi? Was it some other part? Was it the Marvels? Maybe you waited all the way until the Marvels to go, wait a minute, this company is messed up. What brought you, Erika, into that realization of Disney going down a dark path?
You mean going from the pixie duster to where I'm at now? Not that I ever was
Sure.
a pixie duster to begin with. I think it was just gradual, honestly. Hearing what was honestly, it was when the whole thing went down with the state of Florida, and when those announcements were made, how they wanted to fight the system or whatever. That was a huge turnoff. And then steering at that point, I clearly knew, okay, so you're just going to completely change the direction of the company then, and you're going to do it through entertainment. And I've got small nieces and nephews. I have 2 small grandchildren and a third one on the way. And I'm sitting here like, no, not okay. Mm-mm. And
she's lying, Booter.
that's
I'll tell you this, Erika.
And that's when I was like, Cuban in me came out, and I was like, que no.
The crazy thing, Erika, is that every person has a different point. So yours is the Florida thing. And by the way, folks, that's a video we're going to be putting out
And
tomorrow,
there's
unless there's
others.
more breaking news. But the Florida situation, the media today is admitting that Disney lost. So we're going to cover that tomorrow.
Well, you know, it
if
gets
there's
to
not
a
breaking
point where
news.
you can't defend them anymore. I used to defend this company like crazy, to my friends and to people on the street or my husband's coworkers or whatever. And now it's just like, you know, when all that came out, I mean, they just took their own veil off. Iger did that on his own. He took his veil off and he showed his hand. Now everybody sees it. Now he's going to sit there and be like, oh no, I'm hiding my hand, you know, back here. But it's like, no, you idiot. You showed your hand and we're not stupid. What do you think is going to happen?
And folks, we have come to the end yet again of another video of excellence. I want to say again, a huge thank you to everyone out there who has supported Vacation Radio and is continuing to support it. It's at Vacation Radio. It's our first step into creative, original content. And trust me, it's only the first step in a marathon where we intend to take back entertainment. But Jonas, you are also covering entertainment and creating many things. Tell the folks out there what they can find if they bring themselves over to that park place.
Well, over on that park place, we're doing deep dives into the parks. You know, while WDW Pro is obviously a professional at Walt Disney World, sometimes we get a little bit more time to cover the theme park business over there. And in fact, there's a lot of discussion about Epic Universe and the amazing things that happen with Universal Studios these days. While Disney is just ripping out classic day one attractions in order to make room for DVC people to sit down for a bit, get a few free goldfish crackers.
Jonas, I want to give you one final comment on this, because the way Erika ends it when she says, what were they expecting? Jonas, when they did this, when they did the Acolyte, what were they expecting when they shot this scene? Did nobody tell them this will be memed to the heavens? Like, this will take off. Like,
yeah.
What were they thinking?
I'm going to say, I think that the people who make these shows have been black-pilled so much. There might have been a vocal minority who had a problem with what they were doing. And I don't think that I think they got so used to tuning them out that they didn't realize that crowd was getting larger and larger and larger. And now they've gotten used to turning up their own temperature in the water. And now the frog is boiling in the pot, and they're still tuned to trying to make people suffer.
That's right. Well, folks, we'll be covering the Acolyte. We'll have an Acolyte after party Tuesday, just as soon as the episode ends. That'll be episode 4. And do not worry, it will not be a bore, for they are going evermore into the matriarchy. We can tell you that. We won't spoil it, although you cannot spoil that which is already rotten. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts, and tell us, do you think Kathleen Kennedy is to blame for actually destroying not just Star Wars, but Disney Plus, the main creative pipeline for Disney? Good job, Kathy. All right, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, subscribe to Jonas at that park place, and keep having fun.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we're really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that park place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.